Hi, chat. Hi. Hi. New camera. New camera, who's this? I spent so long trying to get this to work. I spent so long trying to get this to work. Wait. Music? Yay! I know, right? Wait. There's there's multiple things I can do with it as well. Like because it's my phone, I can use different lenses. Like I can zoom all the way in and like look really weird. It will like zoom all the way into my face. Oh, it's not. Also, which is kind of fun, is I can do like whoa, 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 whoa. Nah, I'm just kidding. Hi, Sophie. Oh my god, thank you, Benji. Oh wait, no, Bluey. Sorry, my bad. Ooh, my hat. It's like, ooh, it says I'm offline. No, I'm not offline, am I? No, I'm not. Oops, there we go. I hear myself speak, and it's really really off-putting. I know. Oh, I know. I remember the OG. The one thing I really don't like is I have a really bad tripod that I bought from Flying Tiger, and it only just about works, but it's currently propping up my phone. Otherwise, you would see the room, which I don't really want to show. Call me crazy, but I don't want to show my room. Wait, I wish there was a way that I could set up so I can see Twitch alerts. I guess all the Twitch alerts will go up on my OBS preview. Oh, it's really struggling to focus. Stop trying to focus on my hair. Is it gonna focus? Well, I'm gonna have to manually focus it. Well, I can focus the magnet thing. Ooh, does that work? It worked! I fixed it, J-Cats. I fixed it. I'm doing so good. How are you? I'm doing swell. It feels really weird. I really don't like how my phone is on this tripod, because it's like not that good of a tripod. So it's like my phone is being held up by this like little bit of a tripod. It's like if it falls, that could be annoying. Oh my god, I want a pizza now. You made me want pizza. I love pizza. Low-key. I'm more of a pasta person though, I think. I would eat pasta over. I'm gonna close the other, because I've got three previews up. So I've got my camera software, I've got my OBS, and I've got my Twitch dashboard open. So it's like way too many instances of my face are on screen. It's pretty confusing. Low-key, some of the really good pastas are like spaghetti is quite nice. Tagliatelle is quite nice. I like shell pasta. I like shell pasta quite a lot. Whoa. 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 High five, chat. Boom! It's like high five. Yippee! Oh. I wish there was no delay on my end on the Twitch dashboard, because whenever I look at it, it's like, what? And then I move, and I'm like, what? I can't see most of my screen at the minute because it's taken up by my phone. I could move it over here, but then I'm worried it docks something, and I don't want to dox myself, because that'd be kind of embarrassing. You get me? I just realised I streamed yesterday. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll, chat. Like, I am on a roll today. I'm on a roll this week. I got a stream streak of 2. I am not a part-timer, guys. I'm not a part-timer. Nah, I am a part-timer. I'm definitely a part-timer, if I'm honest. Part-timer, but it's not my job. I'm a student. I'm a student, so being a part-timer is not that bad. My hair. The fan is really blowing my hair around. It's kind of annoying in a way. But wait, what are you studying? I am studying biochemistry. It's really fun, low-key. Low-key, very fun. Yeah, it can be kind of hard sometimes. But oh wait, you do biochem in high school in Poland. That's so cool. I don't know, we don't do that really. Hi Richie. Hi. It's the wind is in my hair. How are you today? How are you? I hope we are all doing swell right now. I know, I did it. I didn't think I was gonna make it, but I did it. You're doing uni work? Yeah, that's so real. Everyone hates doing uni work. I need to get my hair. I need a hairband, but I hate wearing hairbands. Did I drop something? No, I didn't. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I need a new place to put this camera, because like this is what the old one looks like, and I kind of want to keep this style of it, what it looks like, but I want 2 angles. So obviously, like, this angle's fine, and then I've got this angle, but I don't want, like, I don't want to, like, dox myself, but I also want to see my screen. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask? Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of fun until it gets in your eye, and then it's like, ugh. You have to, like, the seaside, I'm at the seaside. This is the seaside. It's a seagull, guys. It's a seagull. Hey. There we go. I was trying not to, like, pull out all my cables when I move. It's low-key kind of hard to do. I've got too many. Ooh, I've got 21,000 bitrate right now. That's pretty good. Pretty good bitrate. I like how, wait, no, this way. No. It's just me. I like how there's a different... Yes, exactly. I like how, like, Bluey is the same name everywhere. Richie has a different name here. On my Twitch dashboard, which is over here. And on my Twitch, other Twitch dashboard, which is over here. Like, how many different name colours can one person have? Nah, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm only joking. Can you hear the music? I realised looking back at my old streams that you can't actually hear any music, even though I've been playing music the entire time. Which is really, like, embarrassing, because I never watched my VODs back. Yay! I never watched my VODs back, so I didn't realise you just can't hear the music. Yay! Thank you, guys. Thank you. I don't know where to put my headphones. I don't want to wear them because the music gets distracting. I want water. I can put it on my chair. I do have it set up to be a VOD track. The volume was just too low. Wait. I duck down, it's like, oh god, I'm being blown away, guys. I'm being blown away. Nah, I'm just kidding. No one would blow me away. I am too firmly planted into the ground. What's that? No! I nearly pulled out the mic cable. I know, I lied. I'm sorry. I'm not getting evicted, guys. I'm not getting evicted. Maxi Jesus not getting evicted. I really believed that lie for a bit. I was so nice about it as well, and then he lied. Evil. Evil. Nah, I'm kidding. Low-key lying is so fun sometimes. Like, lying about non-bad things is fun. Like, lying about... I can walk. That is a lie. I can't walk. But you see, I can lie. I've got a poker face. I can walk. No. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't have a poker face. Really should wear a hairband. Or is it like a baby sensory video where it's like my hair moves and it's like a baby sensory video? Like, jangle the keys, jangle the keys. I haven't got any keys on me. No, I know, it's just annoying. I don't mind it that much, I just don't like hairbands. I never know what to title these streams. Because I never had a project that I'm doing on these streams. I'm just having a good old yap sesh. Because I can't draw. So I can't do drawing streams. I can't do many things. Improvisation, that is it. That is a cornerstone of acting. Do not go into the breach, my dear friend. I don't know what that's from, I don't remember. Maybe try hair clips would be a shout. But they're over there, and I don't want to walk over there. Well, I wouldn't walk over there, I'd roll over there. But then I'd have to move everything, and then it'd be really annoying. No, I'm kidding. How many jokes can I make about not walking in like a minute? Probably a lot. But then again, most people wouldn't be able to stand that, and I can't stand anything. But +2, +1, Omega lol, Kep W, lol, Lemao, XD, Ijabol, Ijabol doesn't sound right. Ijabol, it sounds like... It's like anachronisms versus acronyms. Anachronisms, I believe, is where it's like NASA, where it's pronounced, but an acronym is where you say the letters, like NHS. The more you know. The Ijabol would be an acronym because I don't say the letters. Otherwise it would be IJBOL. I'm like the woman etymology nerd. I am the female etymology nerd. Nerd. Eureka. What the Sigma? What the Sig? No. No. Nah. Anyway. Have you ever... I once went around campus meowing. Fun fact about me. I went around campus meowing, going like meow, meow. Like that. It was really fun. No one questioned me. No one questioned me, which is amazing. I can go around campus meowing, and no one cares. It's like, live your cringe. Allow yourself to be that cringe. True, exactly. Wise words from Hiccup. Innit? You meow or you live your cringe? Which one? Live your cringe or meow? I wonder what me. I bet you it's Gourmet Race from Kirby. No, it's Wii Sports. Close enough. It was Nintendo music. Exactly, you get me. If I want to meow, I should be allowed to meow. And no one can tell me any differently. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow. Meow, 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 meow. Oh my god, that's so cool. Everyone should go around with a meow in their step. Everyone should be meowing. Everyone should be mewing. No, I don't mew. I don't mew. No, no, no. Oh, let's go gambling. Oh, dang it. Oh, dang it. Oh, dang it. This is a legal disclaimer from the Hiccup government. Please do not promote gambling on streams. I would like to make a formal apology to the Hiccup government. I did make a gambling joke on stream, and I would like to say, please gamble responsibly. Please be gamble aware. I don't know why we follow the same laws as the UK, but the Hiccup government does. Because the Hiccup government doesn't break the law. Unlike many other corporations that I will not name. I'm not going to name any of these. But unlike most corporations, the Hiccup government does not break the law. It's Tuesday tomorrow, exactly! Loki, what is your least favourite day of the week? Like, if you could pick a day of the week to get rid of, and it would become like... Because I think, Loki, is Tuesday or Wednesday. Because Thursday you're getting ready for Friday. Friday you're getting ready for the weekend. The weekend is where you do your own stuff. Monday's your first day back. Tuesday and Wednesday is when the bit really starts to set in. It's like, ugh. It's like back to work we go. You know what I mean? Like, the pain really starts to set in around the, like, the Tuesday to Wednesday mark. Wednesday or Thursday? Oh, I guess that is based on your lesson plan. I was just basing off vibes. It's like, if I could get rid of a day of the week, it'd be Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I hate Tuesdays and Wednesdays because it's like just the middle of the week, so I haven't got anything to look forward to. I've just got to speak and talk to people about not fun stuff, and then I've got work to do, I've got jobs to do. I say that like I'm employed. I'm very unemployed, as you can tell. I am not employed. I do not have a job. Talking to people, yeah, it's Blair. Weirdly speak though, talking to Twitch is not Blair. I love talking to Twitch. It's like, I love having this app where I can just talk to everyone and see how everyone's doing. It's like so fun. I love chatting too, as you can tell based on my stats. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, I just love chatting. I love a good yap. A good yap session is always fun. I wonder, is Max going to be live today? I don't think he is. Ooh. On Max's streams, I usually only send... Yeah, I get that. Where it's like, I don't know what to say at the minute, so I'm just going to say an emote. Follow the crowd, be a drone. If I see everyone else is doing a mega love, I'll throw it in a mega love. Nah, just kidding. I always think whether I want to send in a mega love. I'm like, is this joke funny enough to warrant in a mega love? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not stingy with my mega loves. That would be insane. I love this bit where I can just have like a new camera. It's like, Jingle jangle, jingle jangle, jingle jangle. Technically edit it and use a different camera. I don't want to use changed lenses because that might dox me. Oops, not that. Zoom in. Ooh. Whoa. This portrait mode is like, yeah, a bit boring. Let's just not touch that. I don't want to break anything. I'm really scared I'm gonna break something and dox everything and everyone I know. I haven't got anything dox worthy in my room. Not anything that would dox me in my room. But do I want to risk it? Not particularly. Feels really weird using this camera. Oh my god. Thank you, Richie. Have a good whatever you need to do. Good luck. Oh my god, it's already been half an hour. How has it already been half an hour? That's like insane. Half an hour is like more than... Time flies fast when you're having fun. That's so true, low-key. Next stream I think I'll set up a better camera placement. Because then I can actually read everything and see everything on screen. Because at the minute I can kind of see most of the screen, but I'm like ducking around to read it. Low-key. I've technically fixed. Oh my god, thank you. It's flowers. Flower. Ooh, I had something in my eye. Oh my god, a bee's landing on me. Bzzz. Bzzz. Oh my god, it thinks it's real flowers. No, just kidding, there's no bee, don't worry. What did you call me? What did you call me? What did you call me? I was trying to do fake tears, but it didn't work. No. I don't think I'm gonna do fake tears. Never mind. I was really trying. That's really embarrassing. How did I fail to do that? Hi, Bio. Hi, Bio. Hi. Hi. I got a new camera. Look, so I can do this now. Whoop, 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 whoop. It feels so fancy. Wait, Bio, last time I went live, I accidentally went live with Jonathan. It was back when I was doing streams with Jonathan. Because I hadn't streamed in so long. It was like my title was still Jonathan, they like whatever. But I was like, oh. Oops. Jonathan mod. It's like a never. This is modcast day. Wait, it's like. Wait, I need to like. This is modcast day 54. I've got a cracking headache. Hiccup out. My bad. It's like... Why? Wait. Someone save me. Save me, dang Clancy, save me. Wait, that implies that is not meant to imply to N Clancy is Trump, because I substituted the name. I was just substituting it for comedic effect, and that is no way to indicate political beliefs. There we go, saved it. This is when I get banned. I get banned from TwitchCon. Nah, just kidding. It felt really weird going last year with my affiliate badge, because it was like, I had a different badge from everyone. Well, not everyone, but I had a different badge from loads of people in my group. Can we hit partners before next TwitchCon? Nah, just kidding. No, that's not happening. Oh my god, no way. Dan Clancy, can I get partners? Can I get partners, Dan Clancy? Dan Clancy, can I have a 70-30 split? Yay! Dan Clancy, can you pay me more than a few pennies for my advertising? Or can you turn off my advertising, please? Please, I hate advertisements. I don't make any money from it. I make no money from it. Genuinely, I don't get the point of advertisements. Twitch makes like no money from me. I make no money from it. I hate advertisement. It reduces viewers. Wait, what? 20k, 26. Wait, 20,000. Oh. I'm pushing it away. No, it's winning, it's gonna be a real advert. I'm pushing it down. It's gone. Probably hasn't gone. Very embarrassing if it did. It's like the Maxi G's elevator. It did go. It's like the Maxi G's elevator bit. Wrong scene. Oops. Oh no, the lift's stuck. Oh no, they're winding it down. I'm free of the lift. Ooh. Now I have to reset my camera. Did it. This is why you don't play with your camera on screen, because now it feels like everything's gonna be wrong. Thank you. I've only ever got stuck in the lift once. The lift's lost power. You missed it. I'm so glad. No, I'm not glad you missed it. I'm glad you're happy that it's back. I don't know. It's like, whenever I do like presentations and stuff and public speaking, it's like I am so obviously gay and a musical theatre kid. It's like everything I do is like so overreacting. It's so obvious that I did theatre, and it's so obvious that I'm gay. Oh yeah, that's fair. I'm glad you don't have to worry. Yeah, I don't... Trust me, I don't use proper grammar myself, and I'm like a native English speaker. So don't worry. English sucks sometimes. Like the whole thing of like, I don't get when people like purposefully don't read it right. Like, I get if you didn't know like what they said, that's different. But like, when people like make a joke out of it, it's like, stop being a dick. It's like, you know what it says. Like, I didn't get the whole like culture around grammar where people are like, oh no, I'm not going to read it right on purpose just because you spelled it wrong. It's like, stop being an arsehole. read it like they wrote it. They wrote it fine. Sorry, it just really grinds my gears sometimes. It's like I get like some people, like I might misread it because they miswrote it, and that's fine because that wasn't intentional, and I was genuinely making a mistake. But like when, or like the whole thing of like when a person has a name that's, yeah, I can imagine. It's like the whole thing of like, especially with like English-speaking people and like names that aren't English, like for example Irish names or other names in other cultures, where they purposely don't read it right, or they go, "Oh, I'm not even going to attempt this." And it's like, just ask how you pronounce it and then pronounce it. Like, I won't pronounce it till I know, because obviously, unless I know what it's like, I don't want to upset them. But it's like, I'll just go, "Oh, how do I say your name?" And then I will say it right. I'm not going to go, "Oh, I'm not even going to attempt that." That's like, why? Why do people do this? Why are people... Sorry. Hiccup crash out 2025. Why are people, like, so rude about it? It's like, just be nice to people. Is that too much to ask? Like... I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard to ask. But unfortunately... What? Wait, your real name or Vio? Really? It might be different in America, but it's like... Bio just sounds like a name. It's like, well, it is a name, but what? Do you know what I mean? Like, just it just sounds like as in like it, because some things it's like you can tell it's not right. Like you can tell based on pronunciation that it doesn't feel right. But like bio just sounds like a name. Like it's not even like a name that's with a different like structure of names. It's like it's just a name. What the hell? And you pronounce it like you read it. I think this is when I've been pronouncing it wrong the entire time. It is bio, isn't it? Waiting. This is what I find out. I pronounced it wrong. Like my entire crash out. And it was like, I pronounced it wrong. I think... Oh, VO. Oh, you get VO. Right. Oh, okay, yeah. Because I pronounced it like bio. Like Lincoln... No, wait, no. Like pronouns in bio. So then I just went bio, because I switched to B for a V. So that made sense to me. Exactly. Wait, liking the song? Song's playing. Dummy. Wait, Dummy is playing at the minute from Toby Fox Undertale soundtrack. Sorry, I can't hear it. No. I don't know. I just feel like in 2025, we need to be more accepting of other people. It's like, if they ask to be called something, just call them that. It doesn't hurt anyone. It makes them happy. So it doesn't hurt anyone, it makes them happy. Why wouldn't you do it? Also, sorry, this is another crash out of me, but the whole thing around like the term the whole thing around the term clanker for robots, it's like, sure, it started off as a joke, a bit of a weird joke, making a slur for something, because slurs are historically and have still used to hurt people rather than as a joke. But like people are just doing racism now. It's like, I saw one where they said like they were just using literal, like they replaced things from robots with old stereotypes and slurs and phrases. And it's like, at that point, you're just begging to say a slur. It's like, white cis-het people, I know I'm gonna get shot for saying this, white cis-het people are way too eager to say a slur. They just want a slur they can say. It's really obvious. It's not a joke, they just want a slur to say. Like, white cis-het, able-bodied, like, you know what I mean? People who aren't, like, a minority group are way too eager to say a slur. Not all of them, obviously. But, like, there's a subsect of people that are like, you are not a minority group, why are you so eager to say slurs? It's like, this is a bit worrying. Like, also the whole thing around, like, obviously different cultures and different slurs will have originated differently, but like, people are using the R word and it's like, I can reclaim it. It's like, not when you're using it as a slur. Like I know in a lot of cultures they have reclaimed slurs, and like queer was a slur, and now it's used positively. Like, oh, they have a queer fashion sense. They have like, this is like a queer place to be. Like, no, this is a queer insert place. But like, people are using the R slur as a slur, which means you're not reclaiming it, you're using it. Like, it doesn't matter whether you can reclaim it. You're using it, which means you aren't reclaiming it, you're perpetuating the slur. Sorry. I have so many crackouts today. My mind just keeps going from one thing to the next. And it's like, all these things, it's like, I feel like we should just spend the time that we could spend being mean to people, being nice. Like, the whole thing around Benson Boone, it's like, okay, you don't like the music. Who cares? You don't need to tell everyone and tell everyone how awful it is. It's like, people enjoy it, let them enjoy it. You can talk about it, but like, don't go on about how much you hate it. It's like, he hasn't murdered anyone. He's made music, which some people don't like. And it's like, that isn't grounds to like do a tirade of hate against someone. If someone doesn't like my content, just don't watch it. You don't need to like say you don't like it. Just don't watch it. Pretty simple. It's our life. Oh yeah, exactly. It's like, it's your life. Live it how you want it. But you can't. It's like the whole thing around, my philosophy in life is, if you want to do something and it doesn't hurt other people, who cares? You want to watch something and it doesn't hurt anyone else. Like, for example, watching certain shows that support problematic things. Like, for example, if a show slash game supports a transphobic fund, you shouldn't watch it because that causes harm. The show you watch doesn't do anything and it's just not good by internet standards. Like whatever it's called, the War in the Worlds film that everyone's talking about. It's like, do I want to watch it? No. Is it problematic? I don't think so. If it is, obviously, don't watch it. But if it's just bad, we shouldn't shame people for watching it. Because it doesn't hurt anyone. The show isn't supporting an industry of hate. So, you're not going to hurt anyone by watching it. I don't know, it's just really annoying. And then people then try and apply that philosophy to shows that do support industries. For example, I'm trying to think of one I can say without like getting sued. I'm trying to think of something I can say without being sued. like if you buy something off the boycott list for BDS, and that thing, obviously it's different if it's essentials and you literally can't buy it anywhere else. Like, for example, if it's like an essential thing and you'll die without it, that's different. But like, if you're just buying it from it because you can't be bothered to find something else, like, for example, if you're buying from Carrefour, which is a French shop, purely because it's slightly more convenient, but obviously you can afford and are able to shop at another shop, then that hurts people. But like, why would you support it when it hurts people, when you can afford and are able to go to another shop? I chose Carrefour because obviously Intel has not got any essentials. Like, you don't need Intel, you don't like Intel and like HP to live, but you need like something from Carrefour if you live in like a rural area and that's the only shop, and you're like a single mum who can't go and get stuff from another shop. That's different. But like, why would you choose to support an industry that funds so much harm when you could just not do that, when you can afford to not do that? That's like one of the best bits about having time, is you can choose not to support things because you can afford to with your time. Sorry, that was like a tangent, but like, I don't know. It's frustrating sometimes. Anyway. Oh my god, something in my eye. I hate when you have something in your eye, because it's like, ugh. Blink, blink, blink. You're in my eye. Ow, ow. Like, you're trying to keep my eyes open, stop them closing, and me falling asleep. Nah, just kidding, I'm not tired. I'm not tired at all. I know you're joking, just to be clear. I know you're joking, don't worry. Oh my god, I've dropped 0 frames. I've dropped no frames. Cinema, no drop frames. I'm alright. I really want to make videos. Like, I want to make, what's it called? I want to make, like, YouTube videos. But I never know what to make them about. I want to make video essays, kind of. But, like, I'd worry, like, I wouldn't do enough to justify it. Or it wouldn't be interesting. Or, for example, obviously, like, with science, one of the biggest worries for me would be misinformation. Because, obviously, wait, disinformation is... Yeah, disinformation is where you purposely do it, misinformation isn't where you don't. But like, I don't want to misinform someone and change their belief. That's the thing I'm always scared of. Like, if what I'm doing my research isn't thorough enough and I misspeak or something like that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I want to make YouTube videos. It's just, I don't know what to make them about. I don't want to make Minecraft YouTube videos, really. I used to make Minecraft YouTube videos back in the day. Back a while ago. All those videos are gone. I privated them and took them off the internet. All my old videos are gone. Oh my god, yay! You're like my #1 supporter. You're always there. I low-key need, like, I don't know, I need something to talk about on... Obviously, it's different with streams, because it's like I can just change topics, but with a video, it really needs to be one topic, rather than just like 50 billion topics, which is my ADHD train of thought. It's like my beam, like a beam of like thoughts coming out of my head. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. What would everyone want to see videos on, for a start? Like, is there anything in specific you'd want to see a video on? Sorry, I was scrolling Twitter. I mean, I've managed to cut down on the amount of Twitter I'm using. I've got rid of Twitter off my phone. Yeah, that's fair. I will have to think about it, obviously, because I need time. I need space to record. I need a topic. I need the script, really. But yeah, low-key, if you're feeling upset in life, delete Twitter off your phone. You will feel so much better. You will stop doom scrolling every 5 minutes. Getting rid of Twitter off your phone is one of the best, like, easiest ways, because obviously it removes one of the quickest ways you can access it, and one of the most addictive ways you can access it too. It's like with TikTok on desktop, you have to scroll with the scroll wheel, whereas with TikTok on mobile, you just do this. But like, it's the same with Twitter, but Twitter obviously is like not the best right now. No, I'm never saying X. I'd rather die than say X. It's such a stupid rebrand. Yeah, I'm gonna retweet my tweet. I've been live an hour now, I think. Uptime, 52 minutes. Yeah, that's good. I'll retweet my tweet. There we go. Low-key, do you have that thing where it's like you have like an engagement or something to do in you have something to do in 3 hours, so you start preparing and you just sit there waiting? Like, if you have somewhere to go, you sit there by the door for like the next 2 hours. Like that was stream today. I got ready at 1, I finished at 2, and I just sat here for the next 2 hours waiting for like time to go live. It's bad. Wait, do I quote retweet my tweet or retweet it? If I quote retweet it, it might be better. Undo repost. Quote. I am still live. Yippee. Post. There we go. My retweet of my tweet. I always think exactly like I've left the building and like it's like a 10-minute walk and I've left an hour early just in case. And it's like it's so embarrassing sometimes. It's like I'll arrive there 50 minutes early and I'm like, better wait then. Yeah, exactly. It's better safe than sorry. I'm so happy with this camera. I paid money to get the premium version of the software so I can use it. But like, that now means you can see me in 2K. I can't stream in 4K yet, but if I make a video, I can now record in 4K. And you will be able to see it on here. Which is so cool, low-key. I don't know, I'm really happy with it. This is like biblical quality. Like, the quality Hiccup was never meant to be seen in. You can, like, see, like, every, like, what's it called? Like, you can see, like, every pore on my forehead. No, just kidding. I hope you can't. I know you can't, but, like, that'd be embarrassing. Microphone. Microphone. Say hi. Say hi. Ooh, it looks really dirty. Ew. Say hi. Oh my god, you're on camera. Mom, look, I'm on TV. I always like, it's always like, oh my god, I really have a death stare when I look at Twitter, don't I? Mom, I'm gay. Oh, I mean, I'm on TV. Mom, I have something to tell you. I'm gay. I mean, I'm on TV. I'm on TV. I'm on TV. And then you turn on TV and they're like, "Hi, I'm gay." Oh my god, I've got my Stream Deck here. I could change, like, scenes and stuff with it. But I never know what to use it for. Cause it's like... I don't know. It's like, I'm not sure, never sure what to use it for. Because obviously I need to set up scenes and stuff on it. But then I always forget. I'm very forgetful, as you can tell. I have to leave, like, email reminders for myself, so I don't keep, like, getting distracted and not reading stuff. I wonder what I think my longest stream was, like, 2 hours, I want to say? I think it was 2 hours, anyway. Wait, let's see. Hiccup VODs. Let's see how long my longest stream was. Videos. Find out. No, that's the views. What's my most viewed video? 59 views. That's not bad. An hour and a half seems to be my long. No, 2 hours and 5 minutes. It was my birthday stream that was the longest. Oh my god, it's like a transition timeline. If you scroll back through my VODs, I changed so much. My body is a transition timeline. I've almost been streaming a year now. Which is a really weird thought. Life. I've always been streaming, like, I remember, like, sorry to get sappy for a minute here, but I remember, like, just under a year ago when I started streaming, I had never posted my face anywhere. I had obliterated any references to my face before I transitioned, because I obviously used to be not out, well, I didn't know at the time, and then I transitioned, and I was still on the internet at this time. I took down all these old videos, I nuked the channel offline, I removed all references to me. Hi, Golden Ruby! Wait, I know you. You're either the Maxi G's chat. I know too many people. I think are you the Maxi G's chatter? Yeah, you are. Oh no, I did the thing. I did that thing where called someone a Maxi G chatter, and I used to get really upset when people call me that. Well, not really, not upset. I used to be like, oh, yeah, I am. That's where everyone knew me from. I was that Maxi G chatter. It's all like, no, it's not who you are. Oh yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, I took down everything off the internet when I transitioned, so no one could find anything about me. I kept everything quiet for 5 years, for 4 years, and then I decided I can't keep hiding it. And then I came out, and a week later I face revealed, because like, now, might as well face reveal. Because I'd even wiped out the fact that I transitioned off the internet. Like, I don't know, I was always quite scared of people being weird about it. Because the internet sucks sometimes. And then I decided, enough's enough, so I came out, face revealed, then streams. And now, like, I'm not scared to post my face online, and that's like one of the most amazing things. Yeah, when I turned 21, you can see the wrinkles forming already. You can see my wrinkles. Ooh.
People back in my day, we didn't have the internet. We had to watch TV.
Nah, just kidding. I was born. Don't dox. Never mind. I was gonna say when I was born, but I don't want you doxing yourself. That'd be really bad. I was gonna say I was born in 2004, which is obviously public information because everyone knows my age and what date I was born. So that's public information, but please don't put it in chat because I don't know. I don't want everyone doxing themselves in my chat. But yeah, it's a weird thought. Like, yeah, let's not dox ourselves. That would be kind of awkward. Actually, thinking what? Music is a bit loud. Give me a minute. Is that better? Or a bit more down? Okay. Yippee! Wait, I just got 2 followers. Thank you, Lou May, for the follow. One more follower to 100. One more follower, guys. I'm so excited. Hi, Lou May. Hi. Wait, I can change my title. Edit stream info. One more follower from 100! Exclamation mark. Did that update? I feel like I have to keep streaming till it happens now. It's like I just have to keep streaming till it happens. Maybe I should. God forbid, I want to reach my goal. It's a weird thought because I started Twitch because I was just a Twitch viewer for a while, and I'd never streamed, but people followed me because I was a mod. So I had like 30 followers. That means I gained like 70 followers on my own. Like, which feels really insane to say. Like, I gained 70 followers off the backs of my own streams rather than like just being a mod. Like, because obviously those 30 followers felt weird because it's like people followed me because I was a mod, not because I posted anything. But now people are following me because I make content, which is a really weird like shift where everyone is now following me because I make stuff online, and it's like people are now following me for me, and it's like that's such a weird. Sorry, I don't know. It's just a weird thought. Oh my god, I've got I'm on 60 FPS. Oh my god, thank you, Bluey, thank you. I always look so gay when I thank people. Thank you. Thanks. Aw, thanks. It's like, just like up the gay. Like, aw. Transgender. Lesbian. Yes. My pre-rolls are off, yay! Come on. I need one more follow. Transgender. Everyone more transgender. Everyone more transgender. Everyone more transgender. Everyone more lesbian. Everyone more lesbian. Everyone more lesbian. Nah, just kidding. But everyone needs to be more transgender at least. We need a little sprinkling of transgender. Be gay now! It's always funny seeing the delay, because I get to see my actions like... This is the transgender. This is the transgender, guys. The hiccup stream is the transgender. Watch someone take me as serious. Like, someone will be like, this person is not joking. And then, you know what? That will be gender affirming, because these idiots think women can't make jokes. Getting gender affirmed by the fact that these, like, homophobic, transphobic, conservative men think women can't make jokes, which means they think I'm a woman because I can't make jokes. They think smarter, not harder. To be clear, women are really funny. Women comedians are funnier than men comedians in most senses. Who said that? Who said that? W Omen. Women. W women. Women in STEM. I'm a woman in STEM. Technically. Well, not technically. I am a woman and I do STEM. So technically I am a woman in STEM. I never really know. It's like... I always forget what constitutes a STEM, but I guess Y comes under science. It's biological sciences. So, it's STEM. I am a woman in STEM. I always find it funny how, like, I have one clip. So that means, like, I've got, like, 2 clips, which means I have 2 clip badges. Because obviously there's me who has the top clip because it's featured. And then you have the second one because you made a clip. Which means, technically speaking, if someone makes a clip right now, that isn't Bluey because you already have the second one. You will get the third most viewed clip. You will be on the clip leaderboard with 1 clip. Wait. If I go live for 3 hours... If I go live for 3 hours, then I can raid Molly. Which will be my longest stream. I don't know if anyone wants that. Like, not sorry, Molly, but I don't know if anyone wants me to stream for 3 hours. But it would be quite funny. Yay! I can raid Molly! I don't know why I started streaming at 4:30. I guess it was a trend I started yesterday. It's not really a trend if it's only happened twice. Wait, do you think I will get 100 followers in the next 1 hour 50 minutes? I wonder, will I get my final follower? Final follower makes it sound like I'm going to be at like max followers. But I won't. I can get 101 followers. Genuinely, like, it feels so weird. It's like I'm just talking and it's like going around the world. Like, my voice has travelled around the world just because I've said words online. And it's like I'm speaking into the wall of my room, but it's going around the world. It's like shouting out the window, but the window is the earth. Alright, that was really poetic. The internet's kind of cool. I'll say it. I'll be the first to say it. I just hiccuped. Oh my god, it's hiccup a lot, guys. Any words for the stream? Any words? Any... Meow, 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 meow. Very brave words. Thank you, Bluey. Oh, I got a notification. Oh my god, thank you, Bluey. Thank you. Oh, I meant to close Twitch. No, I meant to like minimize OBS. You're forcing them. You're gonna hack into Twitch to force them to follow me. Wait. I feel another follower coming in. 3, 2, 1. And follower. And follower. And follower. And follower. Cricket noises. Imagine that's a cricket. Thank you. The Twitch bitrate thing is really distracting. I'm watching the graph go up and down. Wait, do you watch, Bluey, do you watch on a phone or do you watch on laptop or computer? Pause. Do you see a 2K option in quality settings? Is the question. You should do, because I'm streaming in 2K. But it might be different because I don't know what phone you have. But it should say 2K in like quality settings. It'd be kind of cool if it did. It would be kind of fancy, you know? If it doesn't, I don't know. Oh. That's sad. Wait, I could just pull up my own stream on this monitor. Hiccup a lot. Let's see, do I have it? I do have it. I could technically stream in 4K. It's just, I don't know, like, I could, no wait, I can't stream in 4K because, I can't stream in 4K because they don't have the option. Or it could just not be a thing on mobile. Guys, I've been subscribed to myself for 10 months. Technically, that's only because I get a free sub to myself. The real age. I've been following since day one. I should make a Discord server. Low-key. Like, maybe I should make a Discord server. Not on stream though, because I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna look really unflattering doing it. It's gonna be like me just looking at the screen like this for the next like 20 minutes as I set it up. Just like looking, stare emote. Stare emote. Such a good emote. You can see, like, wait, if I turn this way, you can see the reflection of the screen in my glasses. Wait, is it Minecraft music? Oh, it is. I can't hear what's playing. I was tempted to get, like, the in-ears like Max has so I can hear the stream. Like, hear the music and also hear myself. That's the main problem at the minute, because obviously if I put these on, if I put the headphones on, I can't hear myself and that's really disconcerting. Ooh, ooh. One more follower, guys. Pleek, pleek. I will do a silly dance for you. I'll do a silly dance for you if you give me one more follower. That seems like a good deal. I'll do a silly dance to Undertale music if I get one more follower. Pleek. They're still on the table even if you're not here and you follow, because I am so nice that I would do that anyway. Well, I need to not get distracted by Twitter. Twitter is low-key so distracting. I could send bits to myself. How much is 750 bits is £7, I think. But I'll get half. So I get £4. It'd be very funny if I did. I don't know what happens if you send yourself bits. Probably nothing. It probably just goes to my account. I'm not gonna try it. It feels so weird. It's like, I don't know. I keep saying it, but it's like I've never seen myself in such high quality on on OBS. Wait, what music's playing right now? Get the headphones off. The headphones are a bit broken. They're held together by tape right now. If I at the company, do you think they'll give me a free pair? No. Thank you. I love Undertale music so much. It's so fun. Wait. If I'm gonna be live for another 2 hours, do you have any stream segment requests, Benji? Or anyone who's here? Any requests for stream segments? I fixed the browser, so we could play a game, but obviously there's not many games that we can play with a couple of viewers. That's the problem. My god, thank you for getting the word out about doing silly dances. Thank you. What's this one? Okay. Off the rails, don't you know it's time to raise our stance? This freedom like you never knew. Don't need bags or a star. The word I'll be there in the past. Who can say I had is up to you. Oh, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this grave. Wow, wacky world, jump with me, grab points in the oh yeah. Jump up in the air, jump up in the sky, jump up and your hair will soar away. I just want, don't feel dramatic, I don't know the words enough. I am making up the words as I go along to this song. I only know the tune. I am really struggling to keep coming up with words. This is so silly. I am the silliest. Oh, this is the hiccup philosophy. Like that, something like that, maybe. I could do karaoke, but I don't know any songs. Like, I don't know what songs you'd want on karaoke. It's hard to know what everyone wants. Oh wait, yeah, we can do karaoke. Shall I title it? Should I do a stream segment? How do I do this? Edit, stream info. Karaoke. One more follow to 100. To 100. Does that work? Then if I make a tweet, sorry, this is a bit. Karaoke time. Woohoo! One more follower to 100. So, one more follower. Does that work? Yeah. Any requests for karaoke? Have you got any requests that you'd want me to sing? I can do most songs. Not very well, but I can do most songs. Any options? Any song on the internet? Preferably in English, because obviously I can't sing other languages very well. I can sing like specific songs in other languages, but obviously I can't sing like without practice. I won't be able to sing. I'm just not very good at singing like songs I don't know in other languages because I worry I pronounce it wrong, and then I don't know. Yeah, you've got any option on the internet. Take your fancy. We can maybe we'll start with something simple. Let me think. Oh, wrong button. Wait, I could do Hamilton. This is what? Oh, wow. Wait, Hamilton karaoke. Hamilton karaoke. Uh, Wait, can you hear it? Yay. How does the bastard orphan son of a whore and a Scotsman dropped in the middle of the caravan spot in the caravan by providence impoverished, grow up to be a hero and a squalor? Yeah. Founding father without a father, got a love father by being a lot harder. I do not know the words, by being a self-starter by 14. They played him in charter, the trading charter. When I was 14, I was tweeting stuff on the internet. And actually, if I was Alexander Hamilton, I wouldn't be tweeting stuff on the internet at 14. I wouldn't be an annoying Twitch viewer at the age of 14. And every day, while slaves were being slaughtered and carted away across the ways, he kept struggling and kept his guard up. He was longing. I don't know how to sing this. Help. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to sing Hamilton. I'm not talented enough. It's got to be like, listen again, no? What are good karaoke songs? Or what's something that everyone will know? Isn't she a really bad person now, though? That's the problem. All these people have turned out to be. I think she's a Republican now. Is that's not, is Katy Perry a Republican? Oh, never mind. She just voted for a bad person in one of the. No, never mind. She's not a Republican anymore. Never mind. She's not. I can do it. Firework karaoke. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep 6 feet under screens, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you? Because there's a spark in you, you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on that night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show you what you're worth. Make him go, as you look across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, as you shoot across the sky. Wait, what? You don't have to feel like a wasted space. You're original, cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds. After a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed. So you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow. And when it's time, you'll know. You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show let your colors burst. Make 'em go, you're gonna lead them all in Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon. It's always been inside of you. And now it's time to let it through. Baby, you're a firework. Come and show you what you're worth. Make them go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come and let your colors burst. Make them go, as you shoot across the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon. It's okay. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon. Cinema. I gained viewers doing that. No way. I didn't mean to. I was just waiting for a part of the song where I could drink water. But I know it never came up. Now what do we sing? Oh wait, let's do Pretty Little Baby karaoke. Like the song from has I don't know, like I don't remember if the person from it is okay. That's the only issue I have with that one, sorry. I'm not sure. Pretty little baby. Pretty little baby. Pretty little baby. You say that maybe you'll be thinking of me and try to love me, pretty little baby. I'm hoping that you do. Ooh, ooh. You can ask for flowers. I sit for hours telling all the bluebirds, the Bill and Coopers, pretty little baby. I'm so in love with you. Now it's just that time where both of us are young. Puppy love must have its day. Don't you know it's much more fun to love while the heart is young and gay? Meet me at the car hop or at the pop shop. Meet me in the moonlight or in the daylight, pretty little baby. I'm so in love with you. Yeah. Whoa. Pretty little baby, yeah. Now it's just that time where both of us are young. Both we love us have its day. Don't you know it's much more fun to love while the heart is young and gay? Meet me at the car hop or at the pop shop. Meet me in the moonlight or in the daylight, pretty little baby. I'm so in love with you. Pretty little baby. I said pretty little baby. Oh no, no, pretty little baby. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yo, pretty little baby, yeah. Oh, yo. This is DJ Hiccup with Pretty Little Baby on the track. Such a when the DJ drinks it. It's like Pretty Little Baby, yeah. This is my jam. Putting on Pretty Little Baby, yeah. Try to think of other songs that are like famous or well known. It's Cabaret, but I did that twice yesterday. Um, 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 um. I read it. I just read acoustic version as autistic version. That's bad. Why did I read it like that? Oops. Um, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a good song to sing. Hmm. Making like trying to think like massage my brain. Life by the go on then. Can't hurt. That's so loud. Sinking. Man, if I'm gonna be honest, I dropped out of college, found myself a whole new realm of knowledge down the forest, foraging for sounds that I can rhyme with orange. Look, I'm the simple gatherer among all the hunters, know about eating clap, I'd rather glaze the cows and feel the comfort. Uh-oh, on the trending tab, hope this won't be ending bad. Checking analytics is like working in a forensic lab. Oh lord, life's getting hard, I'm too young for a credit card, and I cracked the first time that drove my parents' car. Teardrops we made friends between screens and DC's still hearts for teens scream my ears off. You mightn't believe it, the life full of streaming is real tough. It feels rough but sometimes, but that's the real stuff. Day by day, putting on a brave face. Playing games, taking pain straight away. Maybe make mistakes, but they say okay. We all need to take a break. If I'm gonna be honest, I need a little light to see if I'm living and loving my life by the sea. If I'm gonna be honest, I need a little bit of the breeze, and I'm living and loving my life by the sea. I'm just trying to keep my life afloat but never quite coping. I feel the heat beneath my collar whenever I'm joking. No, most people aren't evil, but I think some really just want to watch you burn. So you're on edge and sweating, making wrong turns, treading on eggshells, laying on a bed of nails. Just don't you take a wrong step or else you'll get impaired. Look, I'm a happy guy paddling through the angry times. I'm letting emotions amplifier, let them try to pass me by. Can't keep everybody pacified, satisfied appetite. My frazzled and distracted mind is acting like a satellite. So many transmissions every day I'm twitching, watching the things where it's any different. I know I shouldn't claim it today, but it's British tradition. Day by day, playing on a brave face. Playing games, saying aim straight away. Hey, you'll make this say okay. We'll need to take a break. Yeah, life by the sea. Oh, I'm gonna be honest. I need a little space to breathe. And I'm living and loving my life by the sea. If I'm gonna be honest, I need a little bit of the breeze, and I'm living and loving my life by the sea. Life by the sea, yeah. Life by the sea, oh. What's that? Life by the sea? The sea's coming in! Day by day, putting on a brave face. Playing games, taking pain straight away. Maybe make mistakes, but it's a-okay. We all need to take a break. So I'll be chilling when the tide is low. Cause I wanna take it real slow. And I can't sing the next note. But I brought a bra. If I'm gonna be honest, I need a little space to breathe, and I'm living and loving my life by the sea. If I'm gonna be honest, I need a little space to breathe, and I'm living and loving my life by the sea. Life by the sea. Life by the sea. Life by the sea. Sinking. What other sinking songs are there? Thank you. Thank you. Bad romance. That's a good idea. Bad romance karaoke. This right? Wait. No, I need lyrics, really. Otherwise, I'm going to forget everything, and it's going to be really embarrassing. There you go. Get ready. Hold your ears. They didn't say it! Never mind. Oh, talking about romance. Oh, talking about romance. Ra 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 ra, Roma Roma ma, goo ga goo la la. Want your bad romance? Ra ra. Ma Roma ma, ga ga ooh la la. Want your bad romance? Is it really bad? Oh, sorry. I want your ugly, I want your disease. I want your everything as long as it's free. I want your love. Is this better? Is this better? I'm holding my mic as far out as it can go. Is this like better? I don't know what's wrong with my microphone. It just always seems to echo. It's a really bad mic sometimes. Is this fine? They don't want to peak too much. Be really loud. How? Wait. Wait, why is that echo? Wait. Give me a sec. Monitoring app. One. 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 Blah. I can't hear echo. Wait, why can't I hear echo? Why can't I hear echo? What? I'm confused. Is it still echoing? What's happening? Is it echoing now or not? Sorry, bit of issues, bit of troubleshooting. Is it still echoing? I know you can hear the fan, but like, is it echoing? Because obviously then I know it's software related. That's annoying. Wait, let me try unplugging it and plugging it back in again. Is this better? Did I fix it? What's happened? Wait. Hello. It's not echoing on my end. Why can't I hear echo? Yeah, it's not echoing on my end. That's weird. If I open up a Twitch stream, because that was Twitch thingy. What's it called? That was my Twitch preview. Is it echoing on this? It's not. No, I know. I mean, it's not on here. When I say something, it just stops. Wait, try restarting the app. Like, try closing and reopening Twitch. Please, so that fixes it, hopefully. Hopefully that should fix it. It's not on my end. Is it fixed? Please say it's fixed. Yay! It wasn't me! I'll skip back a bit. It was Twitch, I guess. Your Twitch was broken, I guess. I don't know why. Neither have I. That's why I didn't know what to do. But yeah, the way I checked was I literally just listened to what, like I just unmuted Twitch. Because obviously I have Twitch playing on my stream dashboard. No, it's okay. I'll restart the start. I'll start from I want your ugly, I want your disease. I want your disease. I want your everything as long as it's free. I want your love. Love, love, love. I want your love. I want your drama, the touch of your hand. I want your leather studded kiss in the sand. I want your love. Love, love, love. I want your love. You know that I want you, and you know that I need you. I want it bad, your bad romance. I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me can write a bad romance. I want your love and your love is revenge. You and me can write a bad romance. Oh, 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 oh. The bad romance. Oh, oh, oh. Caught in a bad romance. I just realised when I hold a note, it cuts out because it thinks it's like the aircon noise. It thinks my singing is aircon because I held a note. Oops. Hopefully, it won't be a problem because I won't hold a note too long. But if it cuts out, that is why. Ra ra Roma Roma ma ga ga ooh la la. I want your bad romance, I want your horror, I want your design. Cause you're a criminal as long as you're mine. I want your love. Love, 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 I want your love. I want your psycho, your vertical stick. I want your in my real window, baby, you're sick. I didn't get that. Love, 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 I want your love. You know I want you. And you know that I need you. I want it bad. A bad romance. I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me can write a bad romance. Oh, 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 oh. Let me fix this now. Give me a second. Give me a second. If I turn off the fan, then I can change it to this. Let me just... What's happened? Did OBS just crash? Help! My OBS crashed, I think. Wait, did I fix it? I fixed it. Oh, yeah, there we go, it's fixed. Sorry about that one, had a bit of a scare. I thought everything had crashed. Romance. Oh, 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 oh. caught in a bad romance. Ra ra ah ah ah. Roma Roma ma ga ga ooh la la. I want your bad romance. Ra ra ah ah. Roma Roma ma ga ga ooh la la. I want your bad romance. Walk it, baby. Walk it, fashion bitch. Work it, move that crazy. Walk it, fashion baby. Work it, move that crazy. Walk it, fashion baby. Work it, move it that crazy. Walk it, fashion baby. Work it. I'm a freak, baby. I want your love, and I want. Oh my God! 100 followers! Yes! Thank you, Carlin. I'm well, thank you. How are you? 100 followers. Thank you so much. This is like history being made. Wait, I need to do that funny dance. Let me get up the stream music. Wait. Let me get up the stream music. I need to do that funny dance. My day's been good so far, thank you. How about you? One hundred. 100. 100. 100. 100 followers. Why is this mirrored? This is really confusing. I'm from the UK, thank you. How about you? It can be. At the minute, it's a bit politically dicey. It's so fun. Oh, I think that's a good place. I don't know the US very well, I'm afraid. Is that the one that's by Washington DC? I think. Oh my God, thank you. I try to. I try to stream daily, but sometimes I get a bit tired, so then I have to take breaks. Cinema. Why did it keep playing? That was cinema, low-key. We hit 100 followers. I'm so happy. Yeah, I guess so. I don't see why not. Waiting. Waiting. It's like, I love that little cat. He waits so patiently with his little tail wagging. Pause. Pause. It's just like that. The anticipation of waiting is killing me. Pausing. Oh. Nails, nails. Hi, Silly Kid W. Yeah, I have got. I mostly make those myself. Well, I try to at the minute. I'm not a very good artist, but I enjoy making them. I do need to make panels though at some point. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not in a place to hire anyone at the minute, I'm afraid. This stream has been so good. I had 100 followers this stream. Oh, I nearly clicked shield mode. I've never actually used shield mode. I'm alright, thank you. But thank you for the offer. Wait a sec. Right, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was doing Bad Romance, wasn't I? Where was I? I don't wanna be friends. Je veux ton mot et je veux ta revanche. Je veux ton mot. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. Want your bad romance. Want your bad romance. I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. Oh, calling bad romance. Love, caught in a bad romance. Love, caught in a bad romance. Ra ra ah ah ah. Roma roma gaga ooh la la. Want your bad romance. There we go. That's where we were. Does anyone in chat have any song requests? Any song requests from anyone in chat? That'd be lovely if you could send them in. Wait, are you saying it's time to say goodbye, or are you saying a song time to say goodbye? I'm confused. Oh, okay. I thought you were like, time to say goodbye. I was like, wait, what? Oh wait, isn't it in Spanish? Yeah, I don't... No, wait, no it isn't. All the song is in Spanish, I'm afraid. I don't know, I'm really scared about, like... Oh. No, wait, alright, we need to edit the title. One follower away from 100. Orcs. Awkward. I know. Yeah, you completed your follower goal. A bit premature there, Twitch. Oh, I got a notification. Pre-rolls are disabled for 38 minutes. That's nice. Wait, Bluey, do you have Twitch Turbo? Do you like? You never seem to get ads. I'm not like complaining. It's just like I don't want you getting ads. It's just, I'm like, how do you do this? Oh, okay. You're lucky. It could just be country dependent, because obviously they might not choose to advertise in a country where they don't have a big market, because obviously if something's not sold there, there's no point showing you adverts for it. So I guess it just depends on what the adverts would be. I mean, kind of lucky you don't get ads. You don't even need to buy Twitch Turbo. You just have Twitch Turbo pre-installed. I'm trying to think. Nothing. Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4. That's my Jet 2 holiday impression. It's so fun to do. Yes! Sorry, I don't normally... it's also a song... It's just more that I can sing French songs. Because I know how to sing in French. Wait. I did, yes. That's not the karaoke version. Did they have a karaoke version? So, Sinking has one. Yeah. Oh ma douce France, pourquoi c'est cherché tu recommences? Je ne suis que sans pente. Why can't I sing today? What's happening? Sans lui, je suis un peu paro. Je d'impulse dans le métro. Un dernier danse pour oublier mes months. I can't sing this fast in French. It's kind of embarrassing. De vous me font que tout le monde oh ma douce France. Je rêve les ailes aujourd'hui. Je danse avec le vent, la pluie, un peu de monde, un pain de miel et j'entends son. Et dans le bruit, je cours et je perds. Et c'est mon tour, reviens tout l'air. Dans tout Paris, je me borne, je me vole, vol, 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 vol. Que te reprendre, c'est que c'est... Ton absence. I haven't sang in French in so long. It's so bad. Not the song. My French ability. Je peux sans. I'm sorry. Maybe we move on to something. Wait, total eclipse of the heart. Sorry, my brain, especially at night, is overreactive. Sinking! Wait, yo. Wait, what do you mean, yo? Oh my god! Wait, it's soon gonna be my longest stream ever. Is it my longest stream ever already? It might be. That's kinda cool. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit... Oh wait, no, I don't sing the yellow bit, do I? Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming round. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears. Every now and then I get a little bit nervous at the best of all the years have gone by. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified and then I see the look on your eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. Every now and then I fall apart. And I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. And if you only hold you tight, you'll be holding on forever. What are you talking about? 'Cause we'll never be wrong. Together we can make it to the end of the night. It's like a shadow of me. I don't know what to do and I'm always in the dark. And I'm living in the dark, we're living off paragraph. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Once upon a time I was falling in love, and now I'm only falling apart. There's nothing I can do. A total eclipse of the heart. Once upon a time there was a light in my life, and now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart. Total eclipse, yeah! Moon, sun. Wah! This is the total eclipse. Yeah, man! Can you feel this total eclipse tonight? Don't look at it with your bare eyes! Using special glasses! Wah! Why, the moon and the sun! Turn around, bright eyes! Every now and then I fall apart! Every now and then I fall apart! And I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever. And we'll only be making it right. Cause we'll never be wrong. Together we can take it till the end of the night. Your love is like a shadow to deep on me all the time. I don't know what to do. I'm always in the dark. We're living in a powder keg and giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Once upon a time I was falling in love, and now I'm only falling apart. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart. ASMR singing. A total eclipse of the heart. A total eclipse of the heart. Alright, I think for the last 30 minutes we should... Wait, the last like 30-ish minutes we should just have a yap. Maybe I retweet my tweet again. If I delete the old tweet. Wait, I can't see the button. My camera's in the way. I realized I just retweeted the wrong tweet earlier. If I retweet this one, 1 follower from 100. Yeah. Yap sesh. Longest stream I've ever done. Now, post. Does that work? Yeah. Guys, will I hit 100 followers? Will I hit 100 followers? I'm so close. I need someone who isn't a bot to follow me. That person might not have been a bot, but they were advertising or whatever. And then we will raid Molly. I've never raided Molly, I don't think. Wait, I might have. But I don't remember raiding Molly. So how is everyone? Is everyone doing well? Maybe your EP. That's so real. So am I. I just realised I've been chatting, singing and dancing for the past 2 hours, 20 minutes. How do streamers do 24-hour streams? Is my question. I struggle doing like 3-hour streams. It's... yeah, like... well, they sleep, I guess, but like, they still end up talking for like 12 hours a day. I've only talked for 3 hours. genuinely insane my bitrate graph hasn't, like, my internet hasn't died or something. Like, ooh, I... I don't know why that's so funny to me. It's just like peekaboo. It's like peekaboo. Loki, if you beat it, like, peekaboo is like top tier game, like, peekaboo, peekaboo, peekaboo. Is it a game? Is it a game? Does peekaboo count as a game, or is it like an activity? It's gay. True. Like, fuck peekaboo. That's a fan. I need like a fan. So I can like, ching. Like, fuck. I'm seeing like... It's just an activity, yeah. I see what you mean. My phone has 25%. Will it last another hour is the question. It might do. It might be a bit close though. It's scaring the child. 25%. It's been on for like... It was on at 80% and it's been on for like 4 hours, so... This poor phone has gone through a lot. Poor phone, poor phone. It's definitely gone through a lot. Wait, what? Hey, wait. Is that an emote? I can't tell. I think it's an emote. Like a candle on the ground. True! I don't know if we have that here. I don't know, I've never been to a graveyard, so I couldn't tell you. I don't think we have candles on graves here. Yeah, someone who like works in a graveyard might just tell you more, but I'm pretty sure we don't. Wait, I need to take my meds, but I don't want to do it on camera. No, wrong pot. This one. Bloody there. No, I take my meds. There we go. Taken. Caught. Caught. It's actually good emote. It's like, you got me. You got me. You caught me being gay. Lock me up. If you think about it, it's like, it's a weird thought how, like, so much has happened this year. It's been a very big year. Not for me, I mean, like, for the world in general. Imagine, it's like, it's been a big year for me. I've done a lot this year though, to be fair. It's been an active year. I don't remember anything either. I just know that a lot's happened. I watched that. There you go. Wait, come on. Why won't it focus? Come on. It's this. Which camera is it? Come on. There we go, wait. Focus on the magnet. It won't focus. Magnet! Whoa! Look at that! Look how magnets jump. Whoa! Magnets are cool. Look, jingly jangly magnet. Do you ever find yourself watching the Baby Century videos? Like, unironically. Like, some of them are really good. Some of those Baby Century videos are genuinely entertaining. Alright, maybe I'm just a bit too eager to like distract. I'm just like so distractible. It came with the room, I think. Wait, that won't dox me, will it? I don't think so. Hopefully it doesn't dox me. I can't find anything. Yeah, okay, I can't find anything. That's good. I haven't doxed myself then. No doxing! Yay! I hate doxing myself. I don't do it very often either, but I always worry that I'm going to. If that makes sense. I always worry that I'm going to dox myself. Like, I know I won't, but then the worry's always there. True. Oh yeah, I got a notification, that's why I was looking at this. Was looking to see what the notification was. It's always distracting whenever you get notifications. It's like, I know I shouldn't read them, but it's like, I want to read them. What was I saying? Oh my god, it's Undertale music right now. The dance, by the dance. Oh my god, wait. I think now is my longest stream ever. Let me look. Let me just double check. I think it is. It is! It's my longest stream. It is, I just double checked. It's the longest stream I've ever done. I'm gonna sleep so well after this. You're gonna study? Oh no, I'm keeping you from studying. Oops. My bad. I am distracting people from studying, that's bad. Whoop. No, that's the ending song. That's the ending song. Wait, is this the ending song too? No, it's not. It's the starting song with the video. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm too Maxi G's failed. I'm so Maxi G's failed, guys. Come on, guys. One more follower. One more follower. One more follower. Une more. Surely I can get one more. No, ending song. I don't like that. There you go. Got 20% battery. It should last. There's like 20 minutes till Molly starts. Holy shit. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Low-key, that could be so fun. If I log into Duolingo here... Log in. I'm in. Is Polish on here? Oh, it is there. I see it. Do you want to do a bit now? I could do a starting bit now. If you'd like. Right. Wait, give me a sec. Wrong. Oops. Give me a sec. I need to see the... I can't see the button. I can't see any of the buttons. It's so bad. Wait, let me just use the chat arena window. And then I can do window capture. Firefox. There we go. Alright. You ready? Alright. Can you hear that? Wait. Let's do start from scratch, obviously.
Kobieta. Kobieta.
Can you hear that?
Kobieta. 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 Kobieta.
Does that come through? It should do.
Kobieta.
Oh, wait. Alright. Give me a sec. Kobieta. Kobieta. Application audio capture.
Kobieta.
No, that's gonna be really loud.
Kobieta.
Is that good? Right, alright.
Kobieta. Kobieta.
Woman. Well, a woman, probably.
Kobieta. Mężczyzna. 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 Mężczyzna.
Oh god, I'm really bad at this. The pictures help.
Mężczyzna.
Mężczyzna. Right? Is that right? Well, no, I know the answer's right, but I don't know what the pronunciation is.
Mężczyzna.
Mężczyzna. An apple.
Jabłko.
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 Jabłko. Jabłko. Jabłko. Jabłko. Jabłko.
Jabłko. Jabłko. Jabłko.
Jabłko.
Jabłko. This is fun. Hopkick.
Chłopiec. Chłopiec.
Hopkick. Hopkick.
Chłopiec.
A boy. This is so, like, silly. Like, no, not like silly. The language isn't silly. I mean, like, this is such a good idea. I don't know how I didn't think of this.
Kobieta.
Cop.
Kobieta.
It's not the same. Oh, wait. That's a woman.
Dziewczynka.
Yeah, I don't think. Wait.
Dziewczynka. Dziewczynka.
Dziewczynka.
Dziewczynka.
Dziewczynka. Dziewczynka. Yeah, it's like nothing I've ever learned before.
Dziewczynka.
The boy is eating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Je.
Dziewczynka. Jest.
Wrong one.
Chłopiec. Jest.
Wait, it says the is 10, ta or 10. And I haven't got any of those.
Ja.
Wait.
Je.
Okay, so that comes with the. You don't need to put the in front of that for it to work. That was
Mężczyzna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Je.
Or it'd be yes. So it'd be Izzy thing. Oh. Yeah. Wait, no.
Kobieta.
Kobieta. Yeah.
Je.
Jabłko.
Would it? Yeah. Is Duolingo a category on Twitch? Thanks. I didn't know I could. Is Duolingo a category? Oh, it is. I'm gonna stay in just chatting, I think, because no one's gonna look. Bit laggy. I have a bit of a streak going on. I'm way better. I think, what is my French score out of interest? My French score is 35. Is that it? I haven't done it in a while, to be honest. My Dutch score is 0. My Dutch score doesn't have a score yet. I have a lot of languages up here, but I haven't practiced a lot of them in a while.
On.
On. An. He. Fuck. My first mistake.
Ona je jabłko.
She eats an apple.
Ona. Jabłko. Ona.
Honor.
Ona.
On je jabłko.
He is eating an apple.
Ja jem jabłko.
Is it I?
Ja.
Yeah. Am eating an apple.
Ja
Oh,
jem.
wait, I'm eating this.
Ja jem. Ja jem. Ja jem. Ja jem. Jestem kobietą.
God. A woman eats an apple. A woman eats. You're eating this. I'm letting. Wait, you're letting me check. Yeah.
Jestem.
I'm. I am
Jestem kobietą.
a woman.
Jestem mężczyzną.
I am a man.
Ona jest kobietą.
She is. She is eating a apple.
Kobietą.
Oh no! Wrong one. Wrong one. Oops.
On jest mężczyzną.
He is a man.
Jest mężczyzną. On.
Ja jestem kobietą.
I am a woman.
Ja jestem mężczyzną.
I am a man. Okay, wait.
On.
On he. Is it he, isn't
On.
it? Yes.
Ona jest kobietą.
She is a woman. Yay! Ranked 5. I've only done 2 lessons. Wait, I'll get in 1 lesson of French and I'm gonna go back to Polish. Go on. I haven't done French in a while.
Elles sont
They
désolées.
are sorry.
Elle achète des fruits et des légumes.
She is buying fruit and vegetables.
Une tomate.
Tomato. 1 tomato. Leg. Jambe. Tomato.
Tomate.
Wait. Pat.
Que. Cours.
Pork.
J'achète des tomates.
You can see I practiced off Duolingo, but this is where I was at on Duolingo, but I'm better than that off Duolingo now. I am buying tomatoes. I am buying, some tomatoes.
Il y a beaucoup de soda dans le frigo.
There are a lot of sodas in the fridge. This is way easier than,
J'aime penser.
because I haven't done it in a while. I like to think.
Je pense que c'est une série japonaise.
I think that this is a Japanese TV series. Une
Une
tomate.
tomate.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I got lazy. Désolé. If I don't do the accent, will it kill me? No.
Je aime. Professeur,
Oh, wrong one.
pensez.
J'achète des fraises.
Yeah, I don't practice on Duolingo anymore. I use another app. Attends, il y a beaucoup, beaucoup, Rosetta Stone mostly. Oh, it's there, not dead. I got it right other than that though. I am very because I
Entends.
can hear weird noises. Incorrect
Inquiet.
is worried. News. I don't know. Dans entendre. Oui. Étant tendons. Attendons des de inky, yes, I believe it is. There's no. There's beaucoup de bizarre. I haven't practiced in a while. I kept forgetting. I forgot an S. That's so mean. Il y a beaucoup de sodas. Nous entendons des beaucoup des beaucoup de bizarres. Oh, it's Des. Oops. We didn't pass that one. I got too sleepy. I can do it. Can I do more Polish? If I do practice to earn hearts. Man.
Mężczyzna.
Mężczyzna.
Jestem dziewczynką.
I am a girl. On yes, what? Yes.
On.
He. Oh.
Dziewczynka pije wodę.
Man. What? A girl is drinking water. Yeah, yes. Not very good at Polish.
Chłopiec pije wodę. Chłopiec pije wodę. Je. Je. Pije. Pije. Chłopiec pije wodę.
Jabłko.
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 Ona jest dziewczynką. Dziewczynką. Dziewczynka. Dziewczynką.
Ona pije wodę. Ona pije wodę. Jestem.
Kobieta.
Oh,
Dziewczynka je chleb. Dziewczynka je chleb.
I don't know that one, I'm afraid. Chleb. Chleb.
Ja. On.
Chleb.
Wait. Oh, wait, yeah.
Jestem.
I am. Ja.
Ja.
Jestem.
Chłopiec.
Mężczyzną.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Jem
really bad
jabłko
at
i
this.
chleb. Jem jabłko i chleb.
Jem. Jem.
Jem jabłko i chleb.
Ja. Jabłko. Oh wow. I'm bad at this.
Jem jabłko i chleb.
I'm bad at E-clip. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught that one. That's not fair. I got 15%. Yeah. Pico. Wait, sled is bread. Sled is bread, and capito is apple. Beak. I spelled that wrong. Flop beak. You know, I might need to stop today if that's alright. I'm so tired. Maybe we'll do that next stream. And maybe not after I've just been live for like 4 hours. 3 hours even. We didn't end up getting the follower. We didn't end up hitting it. We got close. We got really close to hitting it. I'm deleting all my tweets, like my going live tweets, because I don't want like half of my tweets to be going live tweets. There we go, I'm back. Surely, maybe like in the last like 2 seconds we'll get it. No, I know, the person was just like a scammer. Or like a promoter or whatever. I know. I can't see. I don't know why they did that. But oh well. 3 hours in. I hit 3 hours. I've never done that before. When Molly Mellings has gone live and gone past Mellings. Waiting for Mellings to go live. So I'm going to have such a good rest after this. Oh, there you go. Mellings just went live. I'll wait for the starting scene screen to go through, and then I'll raid. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed streaming. I've been really enjoying it. The Polish scream idea was a really good idea. It's loads of fun. It's just I need to do it at a time where I'm not like asleep. Then I can focus and like really like think. Yoki. Wait. Hello. Yoki. Yoki. It's a very different language structure than I'm used to. Alright, I'm going to initiate the raid now. Spelling underscore. This channel, thank you. I hope you have an amazing day.